Welcome to Pencil versus Pixel. I'm your host, Caesar, and I'm very excited to introduce my guest today, Mr. Jay Fanelli. Jay, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody?
Jay is co-founder of United Pixel Workers, a t-shirt company which creates custom designs and represents a fictitious web design union, which we'll get into a little bit later. He's also co-founder of Full Stop, a creative agency based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And he is also the host of the Origin Story podcast. So Jay, before we continue, I'm going to ask you, pencil or pixel?
I have to go pixel on that one. We've built quite an empire on top of the word pixel. So if I chose pencil now, I think I'd be in trouble.
Nice. So Jay, I've given a little snippet about you, but let's get to know you a little bit better. So please give us an overview of what you do.
All right. So first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be a guest on this show. We do a lot of things. My company, the main company that I'm known for is Full Stop, which is a design studio, web design and development studio here in Pittsburgh. Full Stop actually just celebrated our fourth birthday last Saturday, so we're 4 years old. About a year into Full Stop, we started United Pixel Workers, which kind of came out of this idea for a fake union. We decided to turn it into a t-shirt brand. There's a whole lot more to the story than that, but the short version is, it's a fake union posing as a t-shirt brand, or the other way around. So that's a big side project of ours that a lot of people know. About 2 months ago, we launched the second side project called Cotton Bureau, which is a curated, crowdfunded t-shirt community for designers. So it allows any designer to submit a design to us. We take a look at it. If we accept it, we put it on the site. And if it reaches a certain goal, we make it, we print it, we ship it, we deal with all the customer service, and we cut the designers a check for their share of the money. Very cool. That is most of what we do, at least today.
So tell us a little bit more about Cotton Bureau. So anyone could just sort of go on the website and submit any artwork.
Right. So how Cotton Bureau works is the kind of origin of it is, we started Full Stop as a web design company. We made a lot of websites, and that's what we know. Somewhere along the line, we kind of gained all this t-shirt knowledge by doing Pixel Workers. What we learned, among many other things, is that making t-shirts is a huge pain in the ass. But it's something that a lot of designers really want to do. They have dreams of starting their own t-shirt brand or t-shirt line, or even just they have a folder of unused designs sitting on their computer that will never go anywhere, and they want to repurpose somehow. What we decided to do with Cotton Bureau was launch this service where graphic designers, t-shirt designers, just people with t-shirt ideas, can come to the site, submit their idea to us. We take a look at it. We decide if it's right for our audience or not. We don't accept everything. I would say we probably accept maybe 25% of the submissions that come through the door. So at that point, we walk you through the entire t-shirt creation process. We decide on ink colors and t-shirt colors and ink types and all that kind of stuff. And then we post the shirt on the site for a 2-week pre-order period. You get 2 weeks. And in those 2 weeks, you got to hit 25 shirts sold. If you sell 25 or more in those 2 weeks, we'll print your t-shirt, we'll ship it, we'll deal with all the customer service, all the hard stuff that nobody really knows how to do or doesn't want to do. And we send you a payment of your choice, really. You decide how much profit you earn on each t-shirt. So if you want $1 per shirt, we'll pay you $1 per shirt. If you want $10 per shirt, we'll pay $10 per shirt. And that's it. I mean, we've been live for about 2.5 months now. Sold a whole bunch of t-shirts. I think I just looked at this number not too long ago. I think we've sold maybe 3,500 shirts or so in the first 2.5 months. We've gotten 79 shirts to print. Let me think of any other impressive stats that I can. I think we've paid something between 10 and 12 grand to designers so far in 2.5 months live. I mean, it's been pretty amazing for us. The launch, the attention that we got at launch was a lot bigger than we thought we would get. And now we're we're maintaining. I mean, we're doing it. I mean, Cotton Bureau now is as big in any month as Pixel Workers was or has been at its height. And Pixel Workers for a couple months at a time, maybe last year or so was no joke. So Cotton Bureau is doing pretty well for us. That's our main thrust right now is building Cotton Bureau, building the community, getting the word out about it, because it's still very much in its infancy.
So you and your team started with Full Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit more about that, about your company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Full Stop is 3 people full time. It's myself, I'm the designer. Nathan Paretic, who I co-founded the company with, he's a front end developer among many, many other things. And Matt Chambers, who's our back end developer, programmer, database guy. He does all the hard stuff. And Nate and I talk to the clients. So Nate and I used to work together at a company called Mind Over Media here in Pittsburgh, mostly a video production company, but they have a small web design team. That was Nate's first job out of college. So he was a young, precocious 21-year-old or 22-year-old when I first met him. It was my I don't even know, maybe 4th professional office gig. I was, I think, 28 when I started there. And about 30 when I left. So I'd been through a lot of other jobs in Pittsburgh, a lot of other web design shops or web advertising shops.
Nice. So let me interrupt you for a minute. So
Sure.
When did you decide to sort of make the jump and go off on your own?
It was early 2009. So we started the company in August 2009. I think the day we decided to start the company for real was March sometime that year. Nate and I were just... we were like anybody else. We were dissatisfied with our jobs. We didn't really like the way things were going. We tried to change them. Things didn't change. So we started plotting to start our own company. So it took about, maybe 4 months or so for us to actually pull the trigger. Stars aligned and we left.
Very cool. So would you say that you've always had the sort of the entrepreneurial bug, or for a long time, or is it something you had as a kid?
I don't know. I mean, for me, it's not so much about entrepreneurship as much as it is not having a boss.
Cool.
I don't really get along with management. I never have. I never got along with professors. I never get along with bosses. And not having a boss is pretty sweet. This is the longest I've ever held a job.
Gotcha. So Jay. So I'm sure everything sounds fantastic. I mean, it sounds like the perfect scenario. You jump from one place and say, you know what, I'm gonna open something of my own. But can you tell us about a time when you may have fallen flat on your face or have had it set back? Maybe during your transition from a I guess secure paycheck to your own thing, or what did you do and how did you get yourself back up?
There, like I just mentioned, I never really fit into very many office environments, or like I said, my management relationships were very difficult. So looking back on, even 10 years ago, or Christ, even like 7 years ago, there've been a lot of times where, I lost the job, or I had to find a new job really quickly, or, maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Learning to move on from that stuff is always pretty difficult. At Full Stop, I wouldn't say there's been any moment that we really fell flat on our face. We had a difficult situation a couple of years ago where we had one big client that we had a retainer deal with. They paid us a certain amount of money every month, and we had a relationship with them, a great one, honestly. I mean, at least what I thought. For a long time, we were involved in really every part of their business. Design, we came up with their logo, we helped them with business strategy, we did their website, we helped them with an app. I mean, it was really pretty far-reaching. And one day they called us in for a meeting and told us that the retainer agreement was over, and they weren't really happy with the work that we've been doing, which kind of came as a surprise to us because we thought that while things weren't perfect, we certainly didn't expect that we were going to get fired. And maybe getting fired is a little bit strong of what happened, but we were relying on the money, and we're a small company. We didn't have a ton of money in the bank, but what we did have at the time was all the money that we'd earned up to that point from United Pixel Workers. This was maybe, I don't know, a little bit more than a year into Pixel Workers. We hadn't spent any of the money that we earned from making t-shirts. We just kind of stocked it away in the bank and didn't touch it. And when that client got rid of us, we basically had 2 months worth of t-shirt money sitting around for the proverbial rainy day, and that rainy day came. So it sucked. It's never good being fired. It's never good parting ways with a client like that. That's the only time it's really happened to us like that. But t-shirts kind of bailed us out at that point.
So what did you learn from that experience? Did you learn not to rely on one client only at the same time, or at once? Or
yeah, I mean that's always a lesson. But when you're a 3-person shop, it's tough to have too many baskets to put your eggs in, because because you just can't do that much work at once. I think if anything, we learned not to rely on clients that much. We'd been trying to diversify what we do as a company for a little while, and try to get money coming in not only from client work. We tried an app at some point along the way, and it didn't really work out. But it was something that we got our feet wet with. We had the t-shirt business, and we've launched other things since that. Either were successful or unsuccessful, but they made us a little bit of money outside of client work. And that's been a direction that we've been moving a lot in the last couple of years.
Nice. So Jay, our community of creatives are seeking a little more actionable advice. Do you have any tips for the person? It doesn't have to necessarily be a designer, but the creative who wants to maybe take the leap from sort of in the same position that you were in, working for someone at an office. What would you tell the creative?
Being successful is a recipe of a lot of different ingredients. The most important ingredient is, you got to be good. You have to be talented. If you're not talented, you have to work hard. You have to be talented and work hard. The chops are respectable in a lot of ways in anything creative. But beyond that, there's you have to be humble. You have to understand that you are very rarely, if ever. I mean, there are only a handful of people on top of this game. And chances are you're not one of them. I know I'm not one of them. There are always people out there who are better than you. There are always people out there to learn from. And remembering that is important. Also, one thing that's been huge for us is just making friends in the industry, whatever industry you're in. What's good about the world that we're in, which is kind of a hybrid of web design, graphic design, is that no one's really. There are people who are famous to us, but nobody's really famous. There are very few people in this industry, if any, I guess, who can walk down the road, who walk down the street and get recognized by anybody. There might not be anybody, in fact. It's a different story if you're at a conference, if you're at South by Southwest. I mean, if you're Aaron Draplin, you walk down the street at a design conference and, it's like, Michael Jordan's in the room. But I've seen some long lines waiting to meet Aaron Draplin. But
that reminds me of a blog post that Jeffrey Zeldman had posted, and he was talking about.
It's funny, I was going to say Zeldman.
He was talking about how he encountered Cameron Diaz in New York, and
yep, I remember that one. I remember that blog post.
Yeah. The story was totally like. He was just an average guy walking his dog, and here comes Cameron Diaz, right?
Right.
But then to us, Zellman is, Zellman. He's the man. He's the web guru, web design guru. But,
right. But even Zeldman, you write Zeldman an email, he'll email you back in a day. And that's the point that I was going to get to is there's nobody that's inaccessible in this world. There are people who are busy. I mean, so they might definitely take a little while to get back to you because they got just too much stuff going on, or they're over at a speaking engagement in Europe for a week or whatever. But nobody's so kind of highfalutin that they're going to ignore you. And that I think is a lesson that we put a lot of investment into meeting people, even though the return is not very clear. But it's come back to help us, more times than I can possibly recount. So, work at your craft, stay humble, go out and make some friends.
That's awesome. Awesome advice. Hey, Jay, I'm going to change it up a little bit. So So you're primarily a designer. Did you always know you were going to be a designer, or did you always want to be a designer?
Well, I was into a lot of things in high school, and younger than that. I was into English, I was into math, I was into science, and I was into art and design. When I went to college, I went to the University of Pittsburgh here. I'm not from Pittsburgh, but I moved here to go to college. I came here. I went to a big state school because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I figured if I was at a big university, it would allow me some flexibility. It would allow me to change my mind, which I eventually did. I mean, I started off as a biology major, switched to political science, and then ended up with a double major in poli-sci and journalism. So I wanted to write for a little while at least. But all that time I was drawing, I was into art, I was into design. And then I got into web design when I was in college. This was starting in 97 through 2001. I was making little websites in college and stuff. I taught myself HTML, and then CSS came out, I don't want to say came out, but CSS kind of it became important, in the early 2000s or so. So I got, a little bit, my feet wet in that. And then most of my career, I was not a designer at all. I was an account manager. I was talking to clients. I was making reports. I was digging around in spreadsheets. I was leading calls and meetings, and putting on a tie and getting on a plane to go meet clients somewhere else. And I went back to school when I was 27. I went to Drexel University in Philly for 1 year of a master's program in interior architecture and interior design and architecture, I think is what the program is today called. So that was really my only formal design education. For a variety of reasons, I left that program, came back to Pittsburgh, and kind of forced my way into a web design role. And that was the company that I met Nate at. So I've only really been employed as a designer since maybe 2008, late 2007, something like that.
So you basically taught yourself how to
design, I guess so. Yeah,
self-taught, and you just went in there and just started digging through.
Well, I mean, I was kind of lucky. Lucky's kind of an interesting word to use in conjunction with my last employer, but I was lucky that my last employer they weren't really focused on the internet. They were focused on making videos, and their attitude on the internet was, we're going to have a web design program, we're going to have a web design department, so people can, so we can put our videos somewhere. We can upsell that to clients. So nobody was really looking, and nobody really cared. So a lot of us, I mean, Nate included, could just kind of learn on the job. We can make mistakes at the client's expense. When I look back on some of those websites, I'm like, ugh. But, I mean, a lot of it was just, it's still learning on the job. We make this crap up all the time. I mean, none of us are MBAs, none of us have business degrees, and it's, we've created and are running three, I mean, honestly, pretty successful design businesses. Just kind of making it up as we go along.
Definitely. So, speaking of your businesses, so what, any exciting stuff coming up in the world of pencil work, or there I go with pencil workers, pixel workers, Full Stop, or Cotton Bureau?
Well, Cotton Bureau is definitely number one of those three businesses at the moment. We're wrapping up 2 client projects at the moment with Full Stop, 2 relatively small ones. We have a big client job that's coming up that we'll hopefully win. I think we will. It was actually the first job that started our company. We actually stole it from our last company. It was a big university redesign project. That was the first thing we ever worked on as a company. They're coming back for redesign, 3-4 years later now. And it'll be the biggest job, at least budget-wise, we've ever done. So that's kind of coming up, hopefully in the next, I want to say month or maybe 2 months. Pixel Workers is kind of up in the air. I mean, we were on a track for a long time with Pixel Workers. We were launching new shirts all the time. We were launching new shirts every week, even for a long time. And with everything else that we do, Pixel Workers kind of got put on cruise control a little bit. And that's kind of where it is now. The thing is that we have hundreds and hundreds of t-shirts on Pixel Workers, and I think we've decided to kind of lean on our back catalog a little bit more rather than just pumping out new stuff all the time, because we keep pumping out new stuff, we're gonna have like 1,000 t-shirts pretty soon, and it's
Little bit too much.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much to handle. But no, Cotton Bureau. I mean, Cotton Bureau is our newest thing. It's what we're focused on for the foreseeable future. We're probably going to use this next like 18 months or so to work on that one client project and Cotton Bureau, and hopefully be able to focus on those two things at once. Because for the last 4 years, it's been a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this other thing, and we've never really been able to focus on really anything. So we're hoping that things calm down a little bit for us, and we're able to really put some serious effort into Cotton Bureau.
Nice. So just to throw you off a bit here, you're really into music, aren't you?
I guess so. Yeah.
You're a drummer.
I'm a drummer.
Yeah, so am I, man.
All right. I can name. There's so many drummers in web design.
Wow.
Proportion. I mean, of people that play instruments, I
more
would
drummers
bet.
than anything else?
I would bet there are more drummers than anything
Really?
else. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Super weird. It's super weird.
Hey, so what music gets you going right now? What song or music or artist?
Boy.
What are you listening to?
This is where I'm going to lose like 1,000 followers. If you know me, you know that I am an appreciator of all music.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a metaphor out there. So I like food too, and food's another thing I could talk about for a long time. I have the same attitude about food that I do about music. So I've eaten, and I'm aware of at least some of the finest restaurants in the world, or at least in the country. I love fine dining. I love to find the cool restaurant in a new city. I love to know all that stuff. I love to know notable chefs. Nice. The kinds of places that cost $250, for a tasting dinner or whatever. I love all that stuff, but I will crush a chicken McNuggets value meal from McDonald's, or a bag of Doritos, or a can of Easy Cheese. Love all that stuff. So that's kind of my taste in music too. So like I like weird new stuff. I was way into the sort of like whatever. When I was like in my mid-20s, I was like way into indie stuff. The sort of newest, hottest, whatever indie band that came out back then. But like for the last couple of years, like I can't get enough of pop music, and like top 40.
Just
whatever,
as top 40 as it gets.
Yep. I mean,
Really?
Robin Thicke, Blurred Lines.
Wow.
I mean, I'll listen to that song 20 times in a row.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I have another Twitter account. I have a couple Twitter accounts. I have a sports focused Twitter account. I have a music focused Twitter account called DJ Fanelli.
Really?
Yeah, and I have no followers, at all. It's just a handful of people in design.
I think you're going to start having some followers after this.
We'll see. But and all I do, I just tweet about whatever music stuff I want to tweet about, and it could be just something new, something old, something I noticed about some guitar solo from like a Bon Jovi song. It doesn't matter. Wow. Like I'll say whatever, because I know the people who follow me most of the time don't really want to hear about that.
Really?
And they don't want to hear about sports. And I have a lot to say about pop music.
Oh man, that would be two different interviews right there: pop music and sports.
Yeah. And food. I've been thinking lately about starting a food Twitter account.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of splitting up your Twitter accounts. Obviously.
So Jay, thank you so much for being on the show and for giving us such great advice. Tell us, where can we find you online besides United Pencil Workers and Full Stop?
So
and your food Twitter account, which is coming out soon.
Yeah, here, right. I'm Fanelli on Twitter. It's Fanelli. You can find all of our stuff at fullstopinteractive.com. Pixel Workers is unitedpixelworkers.com. And then Cotton Bureau is cottonbureau.com. Check it out. We're all over the place.
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks again for being on the show, Jay, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, man.